What is going on, everybody? Sorry it's taken me so long to make another video. I've been a really busy past 2 months, got married, went on a honeymoon, was part of another wedding, and just been super busy. So we're back at it again. Today we have a special video. We're going to show you how to install heated seats into a car. Simple process. We're going to show you step by step how to do it. Take maybe an hour, something like that. We have my brother-in-law here, Ryan. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, link is going to be in the video description below. So let's get my car in here and get this video started. So the one thing about my car is, since it doesn't have the heated seats, the factory knockouts where the heated seat buttons would go, actually Ryan's has factory switches right in these two spots here, is that I have to drill some plastic out to mount the switches. So most of the time we do it right here on the side of the seat, so people can flip it high or low, right, easy, right on the side. But I want it to be visible, that way I could tell if it's going to be on or off. The best spot is in the factory switches. We have to figure out how to take this panel apart and see if there's any space back there for us to drill. If not, I know behind here there's nothing. There's going to be some wires running down back between there for some of the electronics, but other than that, it should be clear down there, enough space for us to drill that switch. So here we go. We got the heated seat packages that we have. We actually got these online. You can get them on Amazon, other websites, things like that. The best part about Amazon is, of course, you can usually find the cheapest price. These are actually the pads for the heated seat. So this is what's actually going to be warming up, and you can see just wiring harness to a plug. That plug actually plugs into one of these here. For the wire harness, comes with a relay. You have a 10-amp fuse, of course your heated seat switch with the low and then the high. So it has two settings. Most of the buttons that Ryan and I have installed, we just drill a hole in the side of the seat. That way it's nice and convenient for the driver or the passenger to flick the switch on and off right there by the plastic, right where all the other manual controls are at. But for me, there's actually those two plugs. We're going to take the dash apart. If you don't know how to take your dash apart, make sure you look online, look on YouTube. Like Ryan is saying, there's plenty of YouTube videos, whether it's a dealership or another aftermarket product that they have to take the dash apart, maybe a radio or something. It'll show you exactly how to take it apart. Not all dashes come apart the same. There's clips, there's screws, there's bolts, there's all sorts of stuff back there. So we're going to go ahead and take the dash apart, see what's back there, make sure I can mount the switches where I want so I can see them, whether they're on high or low. This is why you make sure you take things apart before you start drilling into the plastic. We thought that we could fit it back in the factory switches where the switches are at in his car, but unfortunately behind there is an entire logic board. This is one big piece here, so we can't even drill through it unless we want to drill through the logic board, which isn't a smart idea because I don't even know what it runs, besides probably some of the AC stuff. So that being said, we are working on finding a location, probably going to be closer to where my handbrake is at, still visible, easy to reach, and all that kind of stuff. So we tore the center console apart a little bit and get underneath, and we found a spot that we think will work for these switches for visibility, ease of use for the passenger and driver, and just make it look a bit nicer than having them on the side. I kind of want to try to just avoid having them on the side of the seat as much as possible. Next step, we're going to take the seats out. We're going to use, for these Volkswagens, it's actually triple square. Most cars are either 15mm bolts, 13mm bolts, or different Torx bits or anything like that. So the next step is to take these seats out so we can get behind the center console a little bit better, get a better view of what's going on back there. And we are going to take the seats apart, show you guys how to do that, and install the heated seat pads. So after you get the seat unbolted, you can lean it back like this right here, nice and free. There's 2 bolts in front, 2 bolts in back. Some of them have kind of like these clips that are in the front. But most of the harnesses, don't forget, are underneath the seats. They're usually mounted somewhere around here, but in some brands of cars, they're actually, if you follow the wire down underneath the carpeting. We're just going to have to remove those real quick, and then we'll be able to take this seat out and start mounting the pads.
Alright, when taking the seats out, you gotta be extremely careful. If you run into the steering wheel, the side plastics or anything, you will risk scraping them. You do not want to do that. So you gotta be careful with it. The best way is to stick your hand between the top and bottom cushion, in the the crack of the seat there, and put one on the front. You're gonna lift up, you're gonna tilt it sideways, turn it and pull it out like you saw Ben do. This is also a good time with the seats out to come in here and vacuum and clean and detail your car. It's perfect time because you're never going to get underneath these seats unless you take them out again.
Here we go. We got both seats out. Driver seat, passenger seat. You can tell obviously by where the seat belt location is at. Now that we're in the light, this is the plastic I'm talking about. We drill the switch into if we needed to. Now that we have these seats out, what we're going to do is we're going to take them apart very carefully, because all different manufacturers kind of stick this cloth or leather or whatever you have to the actual seat foam using something different. This looks like this is going to be like a Velcro channel here, but on the sides we're not 100% sure just yet what this is. There's a few different ways they do it. There's hog ring pliers, there's plastic clips, and then there's really strong Velcro. So depending on the way you want to mount your pad, the easiest thing to do, at least for these seats, we're going to run the pad up and to the back, because it looks like there's not going to be anything in our way here. The only thing that's going to be kind of hindering us is this Velcro, and we're probably not even going to stick that down because the pad will probably be in the way of the two different Velcros. So we're going to go ahead and tear these apart, and we are going to see what is underneath there. Once you got your seat folded back here, you can see underneath your entire seat there's these channels here. What they do is they're kind of U-shaped and they clip right onto this metal edge. So you're going to just pry that up. We pried the one side up so we didn't have to take this side's plastic off. And we were actually wrong, because when we pulled this apart, you can see in the foam on the side, these are hog rings here. So imagine a staple that instead of going in straight, there's actually a gun. It goes in straight and then it clips it together. So really it makes a loop. And on the bottom here, we thought this was Velcro, but this is actually plastic clips. I don't know if you guys can see. There you go. So these are the plastic clips that we're talking about. What they do is it's just a plastic channel, and in that channel there's actually U-shaped clips like this, and that channel actually just clips right inside of there. So what we're ended doing, so we don't have to cut the pad, is we are going to actually just cut this out and then slide the whole pad all the way to the back here, and then not have to worry about that. It might look a little loose, but the way that this seat was, it was actually on there pretty tight anyway, so it still should look like it was factory. Now, as you can see, I had just taken a razor blade and cut this off. This is the channel that was attached to the cover here, and this channel here is what clips into that clip down there, and that's what holds the seat down and tight into the foam. Now that I got this removed, it's going to be a little bit loose, but it doesn't bother me that much because my entire seat, as you can see, it's wide open. There's nothing blocking, and I could use the entire heating seat pad all the way up, and we're going to run it, the wire up and down, and probably run it underneath this foam and out here. That way we can clip the clip back onto this metal without there being any interference with the wire.
There's two things you saw him do there. The one was cut a hole underneath this plug here, because sometimes you'll be able to feel it through the cloth. So if you cut a hole where the the little plug is inside the pad, you won't feel it because it'll be pushing into the foam instead. And the second thing you saw him do was cut a channel where the wire is. This is simply so it can tuck behind the foam and go through this hole instead of running and going on the sharp edge of the metal. If your chair has a hole like this in it, that's the best thing you could do, is run it through, a channel in the, you cut a little channel in the foam and through the seat, and that's the best thing you could do, and the safest way to run it.
I also use a little bit of glass cleaner. As you can see, when I pulled the tape off. It actually makes it slide a little bit easier on the foam, otherwise it will stick to that foam. So a little secret is to use some of that. The alcohol that's inside of it makes it dry up faster. So just enough for you to slide it into position, hold it down, and kind of work out the moisture, and it actually, as you can see, it sticks pretty well now. When you get to the passenger seat, since the driver does not have any sensors in it, because obviously the car will not be moving unless there's a driver inside the vehicle, the passenger seat actually has a sensor inside of it. This one is actually a pressurized one, so if somebody is sitting on it, their weight is actually going to push down on that sensor, and then I will get a notification on my dash that says, hey, your passenger's not buckled up, or something like that, airbag's not on, anything like that. So that's the reason that there's a pressure sensor on the passenger side. We didn't run into this on the driver's side because, like I said, there usually won't be one there, because if the car's moving, obviously that's the only seat in the entire car that somebody will be in, no matter what. So what we're going to do is, usually we run the heated seat pads up until this point. That way it's not messing with the sensors, anything like that, electronic sensors, pressurized sensors. But what I'm going to do is I'm still going to put the pad all the way down. I don't think it's going to be obviously, one, heavy enough, but two, I don't think we'll be pulling that pressure sensor down enough to set the alarm off. Worst case scenario, I'll just take it apart and I'll actually put it underneath this pad here. It's going to be a judgment call based on what you want to do, but I think it'll be just fine on the pressure sensor. The next step is to wire it up. Everybody is scared of wiring. It's actually quite simple. It comes with a few different sections here. This here is going to be the power coming from this harness here, which is going to be hardwired into the vehicle. The power is going to run up through here and into the relay. The relay is going to be run by this one here, which your switch is going to be connected into. Now your switch, obviously, like we said before, high, low, and that is going to tell the relay how much power to put into the seats. And then these connectors here are for the actual heated seat pads themselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to get under there, we're going to run the wires, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how to run the wires and everything like that. And we'll get in there and show you exactly what to do. That way you guys are more confident going into this project than just looking at a whole bunch of wires and being really scared.
Alright, so the next part is wiring these heated seats. There's a few ways you could do it. The easiest, simplest way, how we're going to run it to your fuse box with an ADA circuit. This is a what they call a fuse tap, and you will stick this in place of a fuse in your fuse box, and it will give you power not only to what it is intended to run, this fuse, but it'll also give you power to your heated seat, which is this wire sticking out here. So that's the simplest way to do this, because you don't really have to have any experience, any knowledge of wiring, fusing, anything. It's all right here. It comes with 10 amp fuses for the kit itself, so you're going to want to find a fuse in the box that's 10 amps or above. That is a accessory fuse, so one that only has power when the car is on. So I'm going to show you here. As you can see here, the car is off, no power, no nothing, keys are out. Down here, this right here, see, it's constant. The car is off, there's power to it, there's power to it, there's power to it, and that. But if you go to the second row here, like this 15 amp, as you can see, there's only 2 volts, 0.2 going right now, but when you turn the car on, accessory, power runs through that fuse. Turn it off, and there's no more power. Same thing with all these other fuses here, like this one, power, turn it off, no power. So the idea is to run it accessory, So whoever's in your car doesn't happen to leave the heated seat on and it drains your battery. That's why you need to run it to an accessory power, so the seats are only on, and only can be on when at least the accessory or the ignition is on in your car. So that's with the fuse tap. It's the easiest, simplest way you can do it. Simple, it's safe, does the same thing. The more professional way is to come down here in your kick under your dash, find wires that run like this accessory. The idea is to find wires that run like that, and you can find accessory wire, a constant power wire, and run something called a relay, and it will run just like that. The accessory wire will tell the relay to turn on and allow 12 volts from the battery and go to the whatever you're trying to run off the relay. That's a more professional way, and how we usually run the seats when we do them and install them for customers. Alright, so as you can see, we have both of the fuse taps in place. Whatever fuse comes out needs to go back in the bottom fuse hole of your fuse tap. The top fuse goes to the accessory out, which is the red wire that you will connect your heated seat harnesses to. So make sure you're running whatever fuse that comes out, you put it back into your fuse tap. Once you find your ideal switch location, which we're going to put right here by the left and right side of these cup holders here, make sure you go underneath, make sure there's no metal brackets that are going to hinder you in any way. The easiest way is to stick them on the side of your seat, because you can usually just run it there, no problem, no nothing. But if you want to be a little more extra with it, to get them on the dash is a lot more work, but can be done. So pretty much these are flat spots here in front of the cup holders with nothing underneath, and that's where we're going to put these. Make sure everything's okay. Right here we have what we call a unibit, and it steps down so many sizes. Make sure there's plenty room on each side for the switch to sit, so you won't run off the side of the plastic. But we're gonna put the switches in, get the wires coming down out underneath the carpet, and get everything connected up.
So a little bit of time has passed. We had zip tied the harnesses back up together. I don't know if you can see that, but we zip tied them so they look all nice. We had run the power wire from this side. You can see it's down below there. Runs up through the center dash here, down across to his harness. You can see just a little bit of the wire poking out right there, and then that's what runs up into the fuse panel there. As you can see, the heated switch buttons are mounted here, so if you turn it on, obviously you don't see anything happen. But if I were to grab my keys and turn on my accessories, so you can see the car's on, and you can see they light up. Low setting is green and the high setting is a red button, and then the same for the passenger side there. That's one way to test that you have an accessory wire tapped instead of a constant, because if it was a constant, the car's off, no key, you'd switch this on and it would turn on. That's not the safest option, because of the fact that if your passenger accidentally leaves it on, especially if the button is on their side of the vehicle, if they accidentally leave it on, it could run down your battery, could just continue running and wear out the element that heats your seat, and your heated seat won't work anymore. So wiring to an accessory is definitely worth it, because it'll make sure that the heated seat is only on if the car is on. So the last thing we have to do here is we're just going to button up a few things, tuck the harness underneath the carpet. We're going to throw the seats back in, and we should be good to go. Sitting in the car, testing out the seats. They warm up pretty quickly, so we have them on high. We were probably in the car for only 45 seconds before we started feeling it, and it's getting really hot. So I would say it works really well. I highly recommend this installation. Very easy. Just take your time, make sure you don't cut any harnesses, or make sure that you're connecting to an accessory. That way these only turn on when the car is running or on accessory. I hope this video helped you guys out. If you haven't already, please check out Ryan's channel. He's almost at 10,000 subscribers, so let's get him there. And please, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Makes me happy to put more content out there for you guys. And please let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if you have anything that you need to know about this installation. And if it helped you out, please, please, please give me a big thumbs up. All right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you in the next one.